Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, January 20th, and welcome back to the Nick Watkins Show. I'm Nick Watkins. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the college football national championship from last night between the University of Miami and Indiana University. Two good teams got together for a great game. Before we start, though, I just want to say I've been doing this show for almost 5 months now, and when it comes to recapping games and talking about it the day after, I still feel like I haven't necessarily found a great style of doing that. I mean, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it feels kind of bland, like we're not even talking about it. So I'm gonna try this today. I got the key points, the key moments of the game, and then worked in my takes alongside them, so I can talk about it as we go through the game. We'll try that out today, see if it works, and if it does, then we're gonna go with that. I'm feeling hopeful about it, but let's see. I hope it's gonna be a great episode today. We got a lot to talk about. Miami, Indiana National Championship, the Natty from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida, yesterday. Although that is where the University of Miami plays their home games, it's also where the Dolphins play. That was just coincidence. It was just a neutral site, just so happened to be the stadium that Miami also plays their home games in. But you couldn't tell there were a lot of Indiana fans in there as well as Miami fans. Pretty even, both passionate fan bases. Let's get into it. So, this game went in favor of Indiana, 27-21. They ended up winning the game. Crazy down the stretch, especially the second half. But in the first half, though, Indiana dominated. And they dominated because they were winning the line of scrimmage. They were holding their own against that stout Miami defensive line. And on the other side of the ball, Miami couldn't get the run game going. They have a very good offensive line as well, but Indiana's defensive line was doing a great job stopping the run, getting pressure, forcing them into some third and long situations. Um, and Indiana dominated the first half, and the first half went like I expected it to, where Indiana was in complete control. And even though they only left they left the field at halftime up by 10, it felt like they were just going to run away with it. That did not happen though. Miami, whatever they did in the locker room at halftime worked because they came out firing in the second half. Indiana, they won the coin toss, so they got the ball to start in the second half, and they got nothing. Two sacks on the opening drive of the second half for Indiana by Miami. They only have three sacks in the game, and two of them on the same possession. And then Miami responded with their first possession of the second half, a huge touchdown run. It was a 57-yard touchdown run by Mark Fletcher, who had a phenomenal game yesterday. He had two touchdowns in this one in total, two in total, but this was his first one. And Miami got right back into the game with this score. They now it was their turn to dominate the line of scrimmage, dominate that aspect of the game, and that really it got them back into it. And it wouldn't have been a game if it wasn't for that spark. That run really brought a lot of energy and momentum on their side, and that's why this next play that happened after that, in my opinion, is the key to the game. So to set that up, we got to talk about there are a couple punts by both teams. So Indiana punts, Miami responds with a punt of their own that happened three times, and then the sixth punt of that sequence, the third Miami punt, was blocked, and it was blocked and taken in for a short touchdown by Indiana's special team unit, and I think this play is the key to the game. I mean, we know about the Mendoza play at the end, but in my opinion, this was the underrated, overlooked, maybe key play of the game for this reason of Miami was dominating in terms of momentum and line of scrimmage. Indiana wasn't getting anything going to start the second half. And by blocking the punt, Indiana was able to get a touchdown, get 7 points on the board without scoring with their offense. Those are huge 7 points because it gave them more of a cushion and made it a two-score game again and allowed them to have some breathing room to get the offense regrouped and back into it. And I think this play, huge, huge, huge play in the game. It's a big swing. If you include the missed field goal from before halftime, excuse me, for Miami, that's a 10-point swing in favor of Indiana, and they ended up winning by 6. So this goes to show how big this play was in terms of momentum, in terms of giving them a breathing room, giving them a cushion to work with. Massive special teams play. Indiana, before this blocked punt, had blocked 7 punts in the 2 years that Signetti was there, um, which is an insane amount of blocked punts. And this was their 8th blocked punt since Kurt Signetti arrived at this program. So a well-coached unit for sure. They won the game. In the special teams case, they dominated special teams. Obviously, big swing with a missed field goal from Miami hitting the upright and then hitting all their field goals. The 2 field goals that they attempted, they both made, and the blocked punt. Massive play for Indiana, and I think it was the key to the game. Um, so Miami down 10 now at this point in the game responds to a good long drive. Obviously they had the touchdown run at the beginning, but this was their first drive where they actually went march down the field and scored that way. They got their first third down conversion of the game on that drive, and it was late into the third quarter. They were 0 for 8 until they picked up the conversion. I believe they were for 3 for 11 in total in this game, so not very good. And like I said in the first half, Indiana was getting them behind the sticks. Miami couldn't convert. Now they're doing a good job of getting not getting behind the sticks, getting in manageable positions to convert, and they did that. Nice play by Carson Beck on the first one. Um, they went all the way down the field and got their second touchdown, Fletcher's second touchdown. Um, I think Miami's offense, it got moving, and everything really went to Fletcher and Tony. Those 2 players had fantastic games in this one. Running after the catch, for Tony in his case as the wide receiver. He was very electric. He was making people miss. He was getting yards after the catch. Big performance from him. And then Fletcher, obviously the big explosive run, the huge run. And he's a beast, man. And Fletcher, he kind of reminds me of Derrick Henry. He's kind of got the same build, physical runner, and he's fast as well. And he had a nice game, even though the first half did not go well for him. The second half, he was great. He was fantastic. Both those 2 guys, shout out to them. But yes, they scored their second touchdown to make it 17-14. And then it was Indiana's turn, and this drive will go down in IU history for the Hoosiers. This was a crazy drive. They went down the field, and they had 2 massive fourth down conversions on this drive that will be replayed in Indiana forever. The first one, they were both 4th and 5, but the first one was a throw, back shoulder fade to Hecker, and he made a fantastic spinning catch, caught it inbounds, came down with it in the jump ball, and that's a first down for Indiana. And then they went for it again on 4th and 5. I believe they tried the field goal unit out, but had to call a timeout in order to stop the play clock. Because it was going down. They weren't going to get a delay of game if they didn't call a timeout. So they did call a timeout, and they brought the offense back onto the field after the timeout. And Mendoza had a huge play in it. A huge play. So just to recap it again, it was the second 4th and 5, the second fourth down attempt of the same drive, and they call a quarterback draw. They have the center and the running back out front lead blocking for Fernando Mendoza, who breaks a tackle and picks up the first down, and then he spins out of another tackle, reaches across the goal line, and scores a rushing touchdown. And this play right here shows why Fernando Mendoza got the Heisman and is probably going to be drafted number 1 overall in the draft in April. This was his moment. This was Mendoza's moment, his signature play, his Heisman moment, and it was incredible to watch. His parents were going crazy, and just he's a great guy, great young man. Saying that like I'm not way younger than him, but he's really inspiring. Just positivity, his positivity and his faith are really inspiring to me. I think he's a really great guy, and this play shows right here why he's so special. Just will and drive, determination, reaching out across the goal line to score the touchdown on 4th and 5. That's the other massive play in the game, and it was incredible to watch. It was a great play, truly it was. And they go up by 2 scores thanks to that touchdown. So Miami needs to respond, and they do. Running after the catch, Malachi Tony, at least 3 times on this drive, he got the ball, and then he ran for an extra 10 or so yards, even more than that. They had a screen, and he scored a touchdown on that. So now it's once again a 1-score game. Indiana up by 3. They're going down, looking to put it away. Becker makes another great jump ball catch. This was on the next drive after Miami scored. But a false start on like second and very short makes it, less manageable for the Indiana offense. And they weren't able to pick up the first down. Miami's D line steps up when it matters, force a no gain on the run play on 3rd and 5. So Indiana elects to kick it, and they make the field goal, making it 27-21, keeping Miami in the football game. So now it's time for Carson Beck to have his moment. Former Georgia quarterback, I watched him when he was with the Dogs, and did I believe he could do it beforehand, before the drive? I wasn't so sure. I mean, they definitely had a chance, and they were moving the ball. At first, they weren't, though. There was actually a roughing the passer penalty that allowed them to get the first down of that drive. And after that, that's when they settled in and started moving the ball. And they got it past midfield. And then the other play happened. Carson Beck, with the game on the line, threw an interception to the Indiana defense, picked off, sealing the game, sealing the national championship and the undefeated season for the Indiana Hoosiers. 16-0, the first team to do that since like before 1900. It's been like over a century since a team has gone 16-0 in college football, and Indiana did it. 16-0 national champions. What a game, what a season. Incredible. Much respect though to Miami. A lot of people, including myself, thought that they weren't even going to be in this game and it was going to be a huge blowout. I didn't think it was going to be a huge blowout, but I did not see them making it as close as it was. Shout out to Miami, especially their big guys, the offensive defensive linemen. They played great in this one. Fletcher and Tony played great as well. They came up a little bit short, and Indiana won the game. And then for Indiana, what a turnaround for that program. They were, the laughing stock of college football. They had such an awful football program for a long time. But Kurt Signetti comes into this program, and he wins. He is a winner, and he brought that culture to Indiana, and they won the national championship for the first time in their history. What a great season. What a great game, especially this one was. Absolutely incredible. I'm just having so much fun talking about it because it really was such a great game. If you haven't seen the highlights, go back and watch those. It was really cool. And respect to both teams. They both played well, but in the end, it was Indiana who got the win. Like I said, I think the underrated, or maybe not underrated, but the overlooked part in this game were the special teams. Huge point swing in Indiana's favor. The missed field goal and the blocked punt return made it a 10-point swing. And like I said, they only ended up winning by 6 points. So those are huge points left on the board for Miami and actually taken advantage of for Indiana. And yeah, what a great game. What a great game. So that was that for college football. The season is now over. Congrats to Indiana. Now let's talk about the other 2 games that happened. And they're, man, we have a lot to talk about still. We got almost 15 minutes in, and we haven't even scratched the surface pretty much. We'll go with the Sharks. because that one's more positive than the other two. So we'll stay positive. We'll go with the Sharks. The Sharks won yesterday in Florida against the defending champs. Swept the defending champs, by the way. 4-1 was the final score for the Sharkies. Um, the first period, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was at my grandparents' house. That's why I didn't live stream the football game. I did not see the first period because I was helping my uncle fix the sink. But nothing really happened. There was no scoring. But the second period is where things really started to pick up. Will Smith scored a goal in 19 minutes, and then or so a minute in, and then 3 minutes in, Desharnais scored a goal, and then 7 minutes into the second period, Ferraro scored a goal. So that's two goals by defensemen, three goals in total within a 7 minute span. Great aggressiveness, and Chernyshov had two assists. He had assisted on both the defenseman goals. Um, Good, just great aggressiveness from the Sharks, really pouring it on there. And we didn't score again until the empty netter at the end of the game, but this was big for some breathing room, all that stuff. So then the Florida Panthers scored almost immediately into the third quarter, kind of like we did. Um, yeah, and basically less than a minute into the first quarter or the third period, they scored a goal, and then the craziest thing I've ever seen in the hockey game happened. And I haven't been paying too much attention to hockey in my lifetime. Obviously, this year I've been watching the Sharks very attentively. But this was the craziest thing I've ever seen in the hockey game. The goalies fought. Okay, if you haven't seen this, if you've seen it on social media or something like, go check this out because this is absolutely insane. The goalies fought. So let me just break down what happened. So we tripped. Desharnais tripped. I think it was Desharnais. Maybe it was. Yeah, so it was Desharnais tripped one of the Florida players. Florida player didn't like that, so one of his teammates came over, and he actually, when the play was over, when it was dead, the other teammate came over and hit Desharnais in the back. And now the Sharks really didn't like that. So they're all fighting down. They're obviously no gloves have been dropped, but they're in a scrum down there. They're punching. They're grabbing each other. And Nedeljkovic is in the middle of it. And when I saw it, I was like, why is Ned there? What's he doing there? He's gonna get hurt. Get back into the goal, man. And then all of a sudden the camera cuts to Sergei Bobrovsky, sorry, the Florida goalie is skating in across the ice. He came out of his goal all the way over to fight Nedeljkovic. And the goalies very, very rarely fight. Very rarely. This was the first one in like a good amount of years. I think like 10 or so. The goalies never fight. And here comes the goalkeeper for Florida, comes flying in across the ice. He's skating over there as fast as he can. And Nedeljkovic, at the last moment, turns his head like, what's going on? Bam, there's a collision. And the goalies drop the gloves and they're going at it. And you can tell, like, they're goalies. They don't know how to fight. So they're grabbing each other by the shirt as they do. And they're like, they're fighting, man. And I was going crazy. I was showing my grandparents, the goalies are fighting. The goalies are fighting. This never happens before. And Nedeljkovic ended up winning the fight. Incredible. It was incredible. And I'm so glad to have witnessed it live. It was so cool to see the goalies were fighting. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's hilarious. The Macklin and Michael Misa and all the guys, Will Smith on the bench, they're laughing hysterically. They're because the goalies are fighting, man. And it was incredible. Nedeljkovic, after the fight, locked in. He was incredible down the stretch. In the game, 35 for 36. Sorry, I clicked on his page and all it says is plays his fight down there. They didn't even show any of the saves. Nedeljkovic, 35 for 36. That's 97 saves. 97% on saves. 9 for 9 on power play shots. Um, it's incredible. He was outstanding, especially at the end down the stretch. After the fight, he really locked in when Florida was down big. They were down two, and then after the empty netter by Goodrow, they were down three. So they were going super aggressive, trying to score, and Nedeljkovic was having none of it. He locked the heck in, stopped him. Amazing. Shout out Ned. Shout out Nedeljkovic. He was so good in last night's game, and he fought somebody and won. So that's what you want to see from your goalie. The Sharks play tonight at Tampa Bay at 4. That's going to be exciting. Tampa Bay is a really good team, so we'll be watching that one. Now we got to get into some stuff that is not positive. So national championship was fun, good game. The Sharks won. The goalies fought. Now we got to get a little bit serious. Actually, a lot serious. Okay, so for the Warriors, they won 135 to 112 over the Heat last night. But the big story was Jimmy Butler, and it's it's really sad. It's really frustrating. Disappointing is a good word to use to describe it. Um, Jimmy Butler got hurt. He tore his ACL in last night's game. He's going to be out for the year. He's 36 years old. So, you know, for the future, it's like he might not be the same player that he once was, the great player that he has been for us and, for his whole career. He tore his ACL last night. Um, Pods tried to throw him a pass. It wasn't a very good pass. Yeah, I don't want to blame Pods for this, not fully at least. Um, but the pass wasn't very good, so Jimmy had to try and come back for it, and he landed very awkwardly, kind of like Clay did. If you remember Clay's ACL injury, and Jimmy went down immediately. He was in so much pain, and it's Jimmy Butler. He's a tough guy. He's a really tough guy. You could tell immediately that it was serious. And my first thought when I saw it was, oh, that's an ACL. He's done, and he is done. He's done for the year. Um, I think the game for the Warriors went really well. We won by double digits. We won by 23 points. Everybody played well. I mean, you had Pajemski had 24 points, and aside from the pass, which again, I'm not trying to blame Pods, even though it's kind of like a meme now. Anything bad happens, blame Pods, right? But he's been playing some good ball. He actually leads the team in a 3-point percentage. I was surprised to find out, considering he plays with Steph and Buddy Hield. But Pods at 24, Curry had 19. Curry actually got into foul trouble. He had 5 fouls in the fourth quarter, so he came out of the game with like 9 minutes to go. He didn't come back in because we just kept winning. We actually went on a huge run, like a 12-0 run after Curry came out of the game. Buddy Hield got playing time, and he played very well. He was 4 for 7 on threes. That's a good sign for Buddy. Jimmy had 17 in 21 minutes before he got hurt. QP 15. Steph also had 11 assists. Steph Curry 19 and 11. Um, Al 10 points. Moody 13. Great team game. Draymond didn't even play in this one because we have a back to back. We have played another game today, so they rested Draymond, injury management, the knee thing. But the win was spoiled by the injury for Jimmy Butler. The most disappointing thing, and obviously any injury is disappointing, especially when it's a season-ending one. But it makes it worse to add insult to injury, literally, is we've been playing some incredible basketball lately. 12 of the last 16 games for the Warriors have ended in a win, and we even blew two of those games. We should have won 14 of 16 if we're being honest, but that's. So yeah, the Warriors have won 12 of their last 16 games, and it's especially frustrating because just as we're getting it together, just as we've gone, 6 of the last 7 in this homestand have been wins. Jimmy Butler's playing great. The team is playing great around him and Steph, and Jimmy goes down. Just as we're starting to come together and play incredibly well as a group. That's what makes it especially frustrating, is because we were finally clicking, and the beginning of the year was rough, and now we're playing great basketball. and we feel like we just got on a roll before the All Star break, and now Jimmy Butler goes down, and he's going to be out for the year. And to be honest, the team right now, I believe in them, but it's not enough to win a championship. We can definitely make the playoffs, but winning a championship, we probably can't do that without Jimmy, without a second option. So the trade deadline just became a lot more interesting. The whole Kaminga saga. He's either going to have to play tonight or he's going to have to be on a plane to Brooklyn by tonight because we need another player to step up and fill Jimmy Butler's shoes, which is not possible. But to attempt to do that, I think the best player to do that, probably Michael Porter Jr. I hope that gets done immediately. Um, or have Kaminga play. I would not be opposed to that. I would not mind seeing JK come back in a Warrior uniform and continue to play. Maybe he'll even play well. But something's got to be done, and we're either going to have to try and fix that gaping hole that Jimmy Butler left in the lineup, or sell. And I don't want to sell, so we got to go make some moves, do whatever needs to be done to make this team a winning, contending team without Jimmy Butler. But with that being said, that's near impossible. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be really tough for Dunleavy, the whole front office, and for the team, because that's a huge loss. That's a great player and an emotional leader. Um, it's frustrating, man, because it was a great win last night, with the exception of Jimmy Butler being out for the season. So hopefully some people will step up. We'll see how it goes. We got the Raptors tonight. That's a very good team. Both teams are 25-19 going into this game. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we don't lose a step, but it's gonna be very hard to try and play without Jimmy. Now we got one more piece of information, some NFL news. This one it's kind of bittersweet in a way, more bitter than sweet. Robert Saleh has been hired by the Tennessee Titans to be their head coach. And I'm super happy for Robert Saleh. I think it was really unfair how he was treated in New York, how he got fired. And when he came back, I was so happy that he was back. And he really, he came here for a year, and now he's back to being a head coach in Tennessee. I'm very happy for him, but I'm also very sad for us and the 49ers because it felt like we had him back, our original defensive coordinator in the Shanahan era, for 1 year, and Nick went down in week 3, and Fred went down in week 6. Yeah, Fred went down in week 6, and we didn't get to see the full potential of this defense. So it's very unfortunate. Who's going to replace Saleh? I don't know. If you look at the circle of the Shanahan buddy group, Raheem Morris just got fired by the Falcons. That would be awesome if we can get Raheem Morris because he has head coaching experience and he won a Super Bowl with the Rams under McVay. That would be my first choice. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's I love Saleh so much. He's such a great guy, a great leader, a great defensive coordinator. I'm super happy for him that he's getting another opportunity to be a head coach, but kind of selfishly, I wish he would have come back and coach one more year with a fully healthy defense. But what happened. I was super happy he came back and he did a good job, especially with the injuries. But now he's on to. I don't want to say he's on to better things because he's going to coach the Titans, but hopefully he can turn that program around. Um, so we got Warriors and Sharks tonight. I didn't even take a look at the national televised games. Do we got any? We got Spurs, Rockets, and Lakers, Nuggets for basketball. For hockey, we have Bruins, Stars, and Devils, Oilers. So we got a couple of nationally televised games, and then Warriors, Sharks again, like I said. So good episode today. I thought it went well. I really liked how I talked about the Miami. Oh, I forgot. I have it. I put it in my notes so I wouldn't forget. We do have one more thing to talk about, but to finish that point, I liked how we talked about the national championship game. I think that's the style we're going to continue with going forward. I put it all in my notes. It was easy to read. It was easy to pick up off where I left off on the notes. So we're going to continue with that. Thank goodness I wrote it down in my notes because I completely forgot about this. The Sharks made a trade. It was a big one. So we traded for Kiefer Sherwood, who is he's a forward formerly of Vancouver, and obviously, well, not obviously. That's one of my words. One of my, you know, I keep saying obviously, but we'll try and get rid of it. Anyway, the Sharks made a trade. They traded for Kiefer Sherwood from um, from Vancouver. He's a forward, and the way that he was described to me by Noah Levesque, the hockey expert. He's not an expert, but he's the hockey guy of our show. I always ask him questions about hockey. Um, so he described him as Ryan Reeves. He described him as a Revo, but he's better at scoring. Um, so I guess he just fights people and he hits people. And holy moly, he's second in the league in hits. I'm just discovering this. I just looked at his page. He's second in the league in hits. So he hits people, he hits the heck out of people, and then he scores goals. 17 goals in 40 something games, and he just hits people. That's great. I like that a lot. That's a good trade. And people were saying it was a good trade. Noah said that he wanted his Habs to get him, the Canadians to get him. So I'm happy we gave up 2 second round picks and a defense prospect. And at this point, it looks like we're not going to need those second round picks. So go ahead, big money Mike Greer, trade away those picks, get some people. This is a good trade. I I wonder if it's the only trade we're going to make, or if we're going to go out and try and get a big name, maybe a defenseman. Now I'm getting ahead of myself here. How awesome would that be? Because defense is definitely our weakness. And Klingberg is that guy. But I wonder if it's gonna be the first move of many. Just maybe a little appetizer before we get to the big deal that Mike Greer makes, who's done a fantastic job on this rebuild. Him and Warsofsky. Um, good good trade. I wonder if he's going to play with the Celebrini and Smith line, or if he's going to drop down to Misa's line, or maybe Eklund's line with Chernyshov. Who knows? We got forwards on forwards on forwards, and we're stacked now, baby. We're making the playoff. Let's go Sharks! Great episode today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a lot of fun recording this. Hopefully, you had some fun um, watching it. Go watch the highlights for the national championship game. Go watch the goalie fight. That was super. I'm gonna watch that again when I finish this. I'm gonna edit while I'm editing this video. I'm gonna watch the goalie fight to get myself hyped up for editing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.